work ethic, and how it's tied to entrepreneurship. Next on StonePark Podcast, Dream, Build, Connect. Welcome, welcome. I am David, your host. Across from me is Carlos.
What's going on?
How you doing, Carlos?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. We're gearing up for our podcast episode.
Yeah.
StonePark Podcast, Dream, Build, Connect. Big question is, how have you been?
Man,
I know you've been stressed.
oh, very stressed.
I know you have a lot of things going on in your life.
Yeah,
Especially the last couple weeks.
man. You know how it is moving, man. Moving is one of those things that
I wasn't
going
going to bring it up. You could have just glossed over it. But yes, moving
man.
sucks.
Yes, I mean, I still got a TV in my truck that I haven't unloaded.
Are you checking the weather? Because you got a pickup truck.
Yeah, it's in the back seat.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Carlos got one of those big pickup trucks where like the tires are to your chin.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son was like, he got a monster truck. He thinks on the weekends you're just driving over old cars and stuff.
Probably do. I'm telling you, sometimes, man. I mean, that's how it feels.
Yeah,
being
but
in those big trucks.
Are you all moved in?
We are. But
well, basically,
it's a disaster.
Did you get the last item out of the other property? That's where you know you won.
Yeah, I won.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I left the lamp.
Yeah, you always gotta leave a FU item. Like, man,
Yeah.
take it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's like an item that they can't charge you or anything like that. What are they gonna do? They're just gonna have to take it or throw it away. All right, let's get into it. I'm glad that you are moved in. I'm glad you're here. Like our FedEx guy says, you're still in the game.
That's right.
You know, and then if you're listening to this, you are still in the game. So if you are hurting in any way, just to let you know, I believe in you. Carlos believes in you. You are still in the game. You could still do it. You could still make it happen.
Yeah,
That's
man.
the purpose.
You woke up, man. Like we always say, if you woke up, you got a chance.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So, like I said, let's get into it. Where do you get your work ethic from? Is it something that you're born with? Do you learn it? What's your take on it?
I think the experience of needing to work
Mm-hmm.
and the responsibilities of needing, like what you need. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like if you have a family, right, and you need to provide, the experience of having the need is
Mm-hmm.
going to give you that work ethic because you have no choice. You know what I mean? Like,
So,
I don't
let
think-
me rephrase
Mhm.
the question. Where do you, Carlos, get?
Oh, me. Well,
No, you answered
family.
it fine.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, where do you get it
Yeah,
from?
definitely my father. My father.
And I know your father too.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, my father by far, like easily, since I can remember, one of the hardest working men, like ever, and just also having a family since a young age.
Mhm.
I had my first kid at 19.
Oh, wow.
And then
Wow.
I think by 21 I had my second one, and then by 24 or 25 I had my third one.
Damn, Carlos.
You know?
You're getting busy.
Yeah. So I'm being a father of three by the time I'm 20. Before I'm 25.
I was like a decade after you.
You know what I mean? I already had 3 kids at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So it's just
Kind of forced to do it.
You're forced, and that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like the work ethic, I think, will come from experiences and the need of having to. But I don't think you're just born with it.
Mhm.
Nah, or maybe it could be. It could be also in your genes, like in your blood. You know what I mean? That you're like that. Genetically. But
Mhm.
nah, I think that you kind of like your life experiences will give you that.
Mhm. And going back to your dad, at what age did you look at your dad and say, "Wow, man, he's a hard worker"? Like real young, or was it when you had to work?
When I had to work,
Okay.
yeah. Because when you're young, you really don't pay attention much, or at least I didn't.
Mhm.
At least I didn't really pay attention, or maybe I didn't appreciate it as much. Like I just said, oh, he's working, whatever, right? But once I had to work for my family, and then I had to work for myself, and I have to like provide and know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
I realized like, man, like everything that he did, everything that he went through, it's crazy, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And if I was doing it for one, for two kids, for three kids, he was doing it for five,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and doing two jobs, three jobs at a time, one
Yeah.
time, you know. So, and still coming home and cooking, because he was
Yeah.
like the cook in that family.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, like
That's crazy.
like he was a better cook than my mom, and my mom even says it too. Like, oh no, your dad was the one that cooks, you know. So, yeah, man, it's amazing, you know. And I didn't realize or like appreciate it until like later on. I think I was probably in my mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was already like a father of two or three. After I realized, I'm like, man, you know, this isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
How my dad do it for five? Yeah, I think that's where it hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom and dad, they were divorced. And I think, are your parents divorced?
Yeah, they ended up getting divorced.
Okay, so my parents divorced when I was 4.
Yeah, mine's divorced when I was in my 20s. I was
So
ready.
you were
I
grown.
was grown.
Yeah, you were grown. So a little different for me.
Mm-hmm.
And they both were very hard workers, very, very hard workers, where kind of like your dad, 2 to 3 jobs. And I remember the time that I had with them, I loved, but I almost resented their work because they were kind of not around.
Mm-hmm.
I never blamed them. I always kind of blamed the work. And in my mind, I was thinking, I don't want to work like that, because I just didn't understand what they were going through as I don't know, maybe 9, 10 years old. And as I got older, and then obviously when you want things, you ask your parents for money, and their response was, get a job,
Mm-hmm.
get a job. So I lived in a neighborhood where the kids kind of got anything that they wanted, and I wanted those things too. So I think that's what created that hunger for me, at least, that kind of want to, in a kid way, keep up with the Joneses, that I want those things too. So at a young age, I was always trying to make money.
Yeah.
Just to have pocket money, and not knowing the real deal of kind of like what you were saying with your father and you in your 20s, understanding that, because it took me, I went through, I guess, different ways of thinking, because I had my kids in my 30s, in my mid 30s.
Yeah.
So that's like a lifetime from you. And I've been working ever since I could remember. So it didn't hit me with the child thing, like, oh, my parents did this because of this, because I've been, back against the wall in situations with my kids, thinking, I need to provide. I got to do this. And I kind of like what you were feeling around your second or third kid, like,
Yeah.
oh, I get it. I get why they were doing that. So that's interesting. I also believe that it's experience.
Yeah.
It's circumstance. I knew a lot of families that were well off, and the friends that I had, they didn't care about work. They weren't worrying about that. But I don't really want my kid to worry about that, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like,
right.
at a young age, worrying about money. But you do want them to know about money. So we're kind of in a weird situation where we're trying to tell our kids, hey, you gotta work, but also you want them to be kids. You want them to have experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
So it leads me to my next question. What was your first job?
My first job, well, back in California, this wasn't technically a job.
And where were you in California? Because I
in
know
Los
you're
Angeles.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Los Angeles, Southern California.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Huntington Park.
I have no idea
the
where
city
that
of
is.
Huntington Park. Yeah. So you know what? This was in 98, 99. There was I don't even know if this is legal, but there was a group of newspapers, right? And we would go and sign people up for a newspaper.
Okay.
But the pay, it wasn't like they were paying you. I mean, we did get paid money, but it was a lot of trips to a water park.
Okay, like selling like those dudes selling candies.
Yeah, and
Like there's a dude.
it was kind of like, yeah, like, so this guy in a
There's always
van.
there's always a guy in a van and has a
Yeah.
box and it's like, hey man.
Yeah. But it was crazy because it's kind of like a blur in my memory.
How old
But
were you?
I was like 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
And like this guy, I know his guy name was Richard, and he would pick us up and like in his van, and each of, like, we all had a box, and there was like chocolates, like popcorn, like the caramel pop, like just like sweets and stuff, and a sign up sheet for people to sign up for like a newspaper and stuff like that. And we would get paid. I don't remember being how much money, but I remember trips to Raging Waters, which is like a water park. It's kind of like going to King's Dominion or Six Flags and Knoxbury Farm and all this stuff. And so that was like my first kind of like work, like, you know, for like some type of gain, right? For services, like, hey, I'm gonna go do this for this, you know. But actual paycheck that I said, okay, Carlos, this is like my job was here in Virginia.
Okay.
When I came here in Virginia in 2000,
Okay.
my first job was in a place called King Street Blues, and it was in Old Town Alexandria.
Okay.
It was a restaurant. It was a Roadhouse American food restaurant, and I was a food runner.
Okay. I think we all have been a food runner in our past.
But this wasn't like any other food runner.
What were you?
This was
What are you
this
running,
was-
Carlos?
Nah. But first of all, I'm gonna paint you this picture. Right? I was a big boy. All right, all right. So I was like maybe 280, 300. Like, I was a big boy.
Damn, you were 3 bills.
I was a big boy.
3
Okay.
bills. And
Check it out.
you're not that tall either,
No,
man.
so check it out. All right. And this building was a 3-level, 3-level restaurant.
All right.
All right. The first level was like the bar. The second was the first floor for the dining, and the third was a smaller area. So the kitchen is obviously in the bottom. You know
Okay.
how many? You know, whenever it's like, oh, the tables at and 312. That's in the third floor.
Mm.
So you would have to carry that tray
Man,
all
you must have
the
been
way, dude. What?
sweating all
What?
over their food. Oh man, that's gross.
What? Dude, you have no idea how tough that was. But I did it for so long. I think I went through.
Didn't you drop some weight doing all that?
I did.
Or you were eating as you were going up?
both. Yeah. It was bad. But nah, man. It was like, but that was my first official job. It was I was actually a food runner.
That reminds me of when I worked at a restaurant back in the day. I was like a host, so we weren't like I wasn't on the caliber of a waiter or server, and there was this server that he had this kind of like mean attitude, you know, just like don't mess with me or this and that. So I didn't mess with him, whatever. And I'm in the I don't know, like cutting broccoli or something, because when it was slow, we would go and start prepping. So I'm in the big walk-in fridge,
Yeah.
and I'm, I guess, getting the broccoli, and all of a sudden, dude comes in. I'm like, oh, what's this guy want? And he's just looking me in the eye, and then he like walks up, and then grabs a piece of cake, carrot cake, and they were all kind of like pre-sliced, and he opens that. He just eats it right in my face, the whole thing. And I'm just looking at him awkwardly for like 30 seconds. And he kind of, licks his thumb and his index finger, and then he just rolls out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember going, restaurant, you eat everything, man.
Yeah.
It's nasty. So Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
No. But yeah, man, it was that. You know what I mean? I was a food runner, and I remember going into then being a busboy.
Yeah.
And then from being a busboy, I remember finally being a server, and I thought I made it.
That's what I'm saying. There's
Yeah,
tiers to
levels.
that stuff.
There's levels.
Yeah, there's levels.
Yeah, there's definitely levels.
Yeah.
I remember being, like I said, I started food runner. It was like the bottom of the bottom,
Yeah.
And then, when you're a busboy, it was still kind of like, But when I became a server, oh man, you couldn't tell me nothing. I'll go down to the kitchen and
That's
cuss a fit.
That's
You know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying.
Yeah.
The dude came in, looked me
Yeah.
in the eye. I thought he was like gonna say something, or what did
Yeah.
I do, or did I talk to one of his clients
Uh-huh.
or whatever the wrong way, whatever it was. Nah, man, he looked me in the eye. He said, what I needed to say was that was forbidden. You could eat like where we were. You could actually eat the food, like you get one meal, but those things were like contracted in. We didn't make the desserts, so those things were like expensive, and
Right.
you could get fired, eating the cheesecake or the carrot cake or whatever. The dude was like, "Hey, man, if anyone says anything, I know it's you." That's the power of whatever. What made you stay? So when you went to this first job, what was your mindset? I want to be in the restaurant business. I just need money. This is the easiest job I could get. What was it?
Yeah, so the first thing was that, it was the first job that I got here in Virginia when my father and I came from California. We just needed a place to live. So he found the job. I found this one. And the objective was to bring my brothers and my mother from California over. So we wanted to get an apartment. The restaurant business, it was cool. What kept me there for the longer than what I thought I was gonna be is the owners. One of the owners, her name is Lisa Capobianco. Shout out to Miss Lisa Capobianco. Super, super sweet lady. I'm talking about, man, she like looked out for me like crazy. I was I know I was the youngest in the whole restaurant. And she knew that I was in school. She knew it was my first job. And, she always told me, hey, this is not easy, stay in school. I don't want this to be like your everything, especially because when we moved here to Virginia, I was not going to school. I was just kind of like, hey, I need to work, and she was like, hey, you should, you need to go back to school. You need to stay in school. And that's what she was telling me, like, hey, man,
Very cool.
I don't want this to be like your everything now. Like, you shouldn't be. And I went back to school. I started school. And, I kept, working there as, like I said, I was a food runner. Then I started doing busing, but like bus boy. And then from there, I went up and became a server with a lot of the college kids, because the servers were the ones that were like in college. And
the cool ones.
Yeah, the cool ones.
Yeah.
Like it was, they were the cool
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like the older ones that would stay at the bar after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like they were the cool ones, man. Definitely.
That's cool. I guess for my first job, it was passing out flyers. I think I was 12, and my mom took me to some business owner's place, and the guy looked me up and down, was like, you gonna do this? I said, oh yeah, I'll do it. He gave me a stack of flyers, the door knockers that you put on houses.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a construction company or a cleaning company. I think it was like a pressure washing company.
Okay.
I think. I can't remember. But what I did was I told my best friend about it, and I said, look, I'll give you, I don't know what I was getting paid, maybe like $30-$40 for the stack. And the guy said he's gonna look at, like, you better put these because I'm gonna drive the areas. And I told my best friend, he said, let's dish them out now. You don't even have to give me half. Give me like, $10-$15. I'm like, okay, fine. So we start doing it, and it's grueling, and this is why I'm saying that the work ethic wasn't there at that age. I know for a fact, because I was like, this sucks, man. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And we see these other two kids that we went to school with, they're playing basketball. So the friend that I was with, he's very creative, and he said, hey, look, he's like, we'll play you basketball, and if we win, you got to pass out all our flyers. And if we lose, we'll give you $10-$15, whatever it was at the time. and we whooped them. Those kids,
You guys hustled
those
them.
boys. Well, not really. I mean, it was my friend, but that's how I got the stack away. And I told my mom. She said, "Okay, so do you want to, pick up another stack or whatever?" Because she drove to see if I did it, and I said, "Nah, that ain't for me." So flash forward to I think 15, and that's the legal age of getting a job. At least back then, that was it. And I had a lot of friends at an ice cream place.
Yeah.
And I tell you, those rolling ice cream like that, it gets you fit.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the hardest things to do. And then especially if they want a milkshake, because a milkshake takes like 4 scoops. And then they had this like rinky dink thing that if you don't hold it, all the ice cream splatters all over the place. It sucked. But not that I moved up or anything, but I learned a ton because not only was I able to work with my friends, but it was more so the managers that were there.
Yeah.
And they were double, if not triple my age. They were well into their 30s. Maybe even one of them was like 40 years old. And I never looked at them and said to myself, I want to be you.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one thing that I was kind of analyzing, even at that young age. And then the other thing was they were cool. They were real nice. And they taught me a lot. And, kind of like the servers, because I worked at a restaurant too later on. The servers were the cool people, the older people. And not that that's what you want to be, but it's kind of a means to an end, that this is a spot that you're in. And the experience that I got from them just about life, just about kind of like you, where Lisa was like, hey, you got to go back in school.
Yeah.
It's working with people that actually care. Because I've worked with
Very
people,
true.
I've worked with people that are the opposite, that almost don't even like you, and you feel it.
Yes.
You feel it.
Yes.
But you can feel that when someone has positive energy, and then also when someone believes in you, like that. When someone believes in you, other than your parents, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
But when someone sees any type of talent in you, and that at a young age, that helps your confidence, your self-esteem. So that's kind of what I learned on those type of jobs. Now, I have a reason for all this. So I was talking to my nephew, and he was just asking for some advice. And my nephew is 15, 16 years old. He's in high school. And I told him that he should get a minimum wage job while he's in high school, part-time, because of the experience. Because, well, first of all, was that in your mind, right or wrong? Was that good advice? Like from if
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's great advice. I think it's really good, man, because the experience outweighs, a minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no price for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no price for experience, especially at a young age. You know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't work and he doesn't have that social experience to be with different personalities out in the real world and dealing with an angry customer or dealing with,
Let me add something too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he'll do big things. So I think that he does have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. Right.
So when you have that at such a young age, right, it's hard to give advice because, an entrepreneur is me against the world. But in order to get to the next level, you're going to need a team behind you, right? That's like the theme of success. So going back to, sorry to cut you off, but going back on experience.
Yeah, man, there's no price for experience. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, if he, even if, like you said, he has that entrepreneur spirit, just the fact to give him the experience of being a worker, the experience of being on that side, will give him an edge.
The experience of a server looking you in the eye, eating that carrot cake.
That's right.
Letting you know that your word is your bond. To me, what I learned is, hey, man, are you a snitch? Are you a snitch? Because that carrot cake comes in, it's counted every night.
Yeah.
And there's someone typing in, well, where is this missing carrot cake?
That's right.
And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna ask me. They're gonna ask the people that were up in the freezer who has access to the carrot cake.
It wasn't me.
So he's looking at me, and it's, you can look at it two ways. Like there's no right or wrong. But for me, it was more about I earned something on my belt there. So once he didn't get caught, he knew this me.
He trust you.
Yeah. So those are things that you pick up on at those type of jobs. And one of the things that I said was, where in life can you be best friends with someone, twice your age?
Yeah.
That is talking about experiences that they've had, things that they recommend. I remember working at UPS, and I had a friend, Panama. All right. He was like my dad's age, and he was telling me so many things that I still apply to this day. Wow. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that comes from the experience. All the managers that I came across, good and bad.
Yep.
Good and bad.
Yep.
Things that,
and you extract a little bit from everybody.
Yeah.
So
look, they had this thing called employee of the week or of the month. I couldn't remember, at UPS. And it was me, this guy named Van. He was my age. Panama. This guy named Woody. There might have been one other guy, right? And then we had our manager, Norm. And Norm didn't dictate who got the prize or anything. But Woody, so basically I had to offload the packages, right? So all those brown trucks that you see, I was in charge of getting those packages off the brown trucks, because delivery guys, they deliver, but they also have pickups. So at the end of the day, they're driving that brown truck with a bunch of pickups.
Yeah.
So I offload those. Van was in control of sorting those packages onto
regions. And stuff.
That's exactly what he did. And then Woody was in control of the air packages, the packages that had to get out that night to the airport to get to the next day air or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Panama, I think he was a hybrid. He was more on the can't remember the title, but anyway, he was more of a hybrid. He would go help with all of it. And Woody kept on getting the employee of the month. And it to the point where I wanted it. It wasn't even about the gift card. I just wanted to win, right? So I, would go in those trucks and make sure that all those boxes were hustled, and there were like numbers that they would take at the end of the night to see like how fast you were going, how fast your crew is going, because we have people under us. And because Woody's only dealing with like 100 packages, me and Van are dealing with like 1,000 packages. There would always be some left in the cracks, like one falls off the conveyor belt, one goes into a missed region, whatever it is. But because Woody was getting, no blemishes on his thing, he would get it every month. And wow. I hated it. And I would complain all the time. Van didn't care. He just laughed at it. He's like, oh, you're tripping, whatever. But I'd almost think that it was something against us, that they just didn't like us because we were younger. I was 20, 21. Van was the same age. And then Woody was just older. And in their minds, they were keeping that, keeping this guy because they felt that he was valuable. But I just never thought it was fair. And a lot of those things that happened there, I would say I wouldn't do it at my place. I wouldn't do it if I owned a company, I wouldn't do it like this. So going back to the bad things, and look, this is like 20 years after, and it's still in my mind. Like, I wanted that employee of the month, right? So if I ever do employee of the month, I will never do it like that. It has to be fair. It has to be, or strategically placed so that everyone can kind of have a chance to win, whatever it is. But those are the things that you learn. At the time, I'm thinking, oh, I want to win. But as a grown man, I'm thinking more of like the business level, like, oh, that was a bad decision because we're feeling a little disgruntled. We're doing 10x of what this dude's doing, but you're giving him all the shine. You're giving him all the love. You can't break me off a Starbucks card.
That experience right there, you can't buy that.
You can't buy it.
Yep.
You can't buy it. So it's hard to explain it to a young person like my nephew and saying, hey, look, they're not going to experience the same thing that I did, but there's going to be something that they're going to carry over, right? Because if he just starts going for it now, he's going to be in a situation where he doesn't get it socially, like you said. Dealing with older people, dealing with upper management, dealing with rules and regulations, dealing with the fact that you got to come in clean shaven or shirt tucked in, or even just having respect for one another.
Exactly.
It's just,
there's so many things.
So many things. So I think that, I feel
it's little things that it's little things that at the end, it builds character. Like it builds character in you. Like it really does. It molds you.
But going back to the work ethic, I think that's the foundation. I think that it's learned, right? Some of it has to be circumstance from seeing parents, right? Let's say your dad wasn't a hard worker.
Mm-hmm. That's what you probably will learn. Yeah.
Stayed at home. So there's part of it. That's part of it. The other part is putting yourself out there and the willingness to do it. The willingness to embrace what you're doing.
But I'm gonna tell you something though, and this is like so like real. My work ethic compared to my father's is trash.
I'll say that.
No, it's the truth. Compared from my but this is where I'm going with this is how moving forward, right? Trying to like the next generation, making it easier and easier and easier. Because my father came from like hard work, like nothing from El Salvador.
Yeah.
So he's always had to work hard for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
He worked very hard to give me and my brothers whatever we wanted, and my mother and everything, right? So here in America, right? I'm first generation American. We had it a little easy, right? You could say, I've been so by being raised kind of like, kind of get whatever you want. Not that it's easy, like just hand it to you, but right? Me with my kids, if my kids are like, hey, Dad, can I get this? Yeah, sure. Sure. Everything is easy. And they don't work for nothing. Their work ethic to want to get something, it's never going to, because they're going to, everything's so easy, So mine's compares to my dad. The way I see how my dad was brought up with like work, and he worked for it and go for it, compared to the way that I was, it's not the same. Like at my age, by the time I was 20, look, matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you like this. My dad's generation, they were working crazy hard, like hard labor at teens. At my teens, I wasn't doing that, like, like El Salvador, third world country work. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, moving forward, like my kids, my son, I want him to work. I want him to, like your nephew, get that job so they could learn. You know what I mean? It's like, for example, right now, this past weekend, we were moving, right? Moving is tough. Carrying, lifting. We're like in a condo with 3 levels, so it's 3 flights of steps, carrying heavy stuff. It was just my son and I. That's it. You know what I mean? My wife she had work, so it was just me and him. We were like, all right, man, it's just me and you. We have to get, And I'm thinking to myself, like, how could I motivate him, right? And I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna pay you. You can give me $150 for today,
Dang, you should have called me.
And you know what? His eyes got like, what? Next thing you know, before I knew it, he was already back upstairs. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as he heard that he was gonna get paid $150, he was like,
yeah.
Like, he got strength out of nowhere again. You know what I mean? And he recharged and he was ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And So there was motivation there, you know what I mean? But now he earned it after we finished, you know, the moving and everything. I gave him his money, and, you know, he felt proud. He felt, you know, and I felt proud too to give him that money, because I felt like, man, you know, he earned it, you know, and he worked for it.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, get that job at an early age, you know, do it, because that's going to give you the experience. This right here, this moving, I gave him 150 for the day. He worked. The experience he got from was moving. This is the type of work, hard work. This is harder work, earn money. You know what I mean? And, you know, and now you got some experience of moving around, of getting, how do you hold some certain furniture? No, hey, now how do you walk backwards on stairs? How do you walk down? It's all little experiences. You know what I mean? So it's multiple things.
Agreed. I think that having a couple things there, having your son do that is great. Also, let's just throw it out there. Let's just say he wanted to have his own moving business. He started from zero, you know, packing the boxes, lifting them, taking them up the flights of stairs, all that stuff. If he were to want to grow with that, he needs to know that before he can have the business. Because if he does have the business, if he doesn't have a partner that knows what's going on, how could you ever determine who's working hard and who's not?
Exactly.
You don't understand who's a good worker and, you know, who sucks.
Yeah.
And you having the experience of working these jobs, you figure it out. When you're creating your own business, there's an emotional aspect that you feel, hey man, this is my money, and you got to work and this and that. No, they don't have to do anything.
That's right.
The key is being a good leader and showing them, hey, come work with me instead of for me, right? There's some psychology behind that. Just thinking that someone's just going to work up to your standards is BS. And at a young age, I don't know what, for me at least, I don't know when it clicked for me, because even, you know, I flipped our first property at 19, right? So at 19, I was doing everything myself, and I had Mike, we're both going at it 50-50, and we didn't have the subcontractors or employees or anything. So it's fairly easy. We're just basically mirroring each other's work. And that's another thing that built my work ethic is competition. Wanting to finish it before Mike, wanting to almost impress him, because a lot of the things and skills that were given to me were through him.
Yeah.
You know, so showing him like, hey man, I could put that crown molding. Might not be as fast as you, but hey, I could do this.
Yeah.
So those things, going back, I don't know where it was. I think it was when I had a lot of turnover when we started having people do stuff for us. That's when I started realizing it, that these people, yeah, they like me and they like what we're doing, but at the end of the day, it's a job to them.
Yeah.
That might not be their passion. It might not be their dream. And that comes with experience. So the quicker you can get that experience from others, the more successful you're going to be in your endeavors, in your business, whatever you're trying to do. I've had a lot of people work for me. And one of the biggest things of turnover, other than me just going like crazy on them, because I think in my 20s, I thought fear and yelling and kind of Al Pacinoing them would work, and it only works for so long. And it actually doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
And I had to learn the hard way. And when people would leave, one of the biggest reasons they would leave is because they got a big contract, right? So let's just say a painter that has been working with me and I'm keeping them busy. And yeah, I'm not paying them top dollar, but I'm keeping them steady, afloat. And obviously people, you know, they're entrepreneurs too. They're business owners. They're out there to get it. As soon as they get that one contract for, let's just say 50, right? they think they've made it. They think they've made it. And countless people, like, you got a big contract? And then get it out of them. Yeah, I got something, and then it's funny. Then another person from my crew is gone because they fished them out, all that stuff. And what happens is they call me back. Oh, I need work. I need this and that, because that 50 ain't nothing.
True.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And the mindset that one has when they make money is they're unstoppable. And I've been there too. When I've gotten that big check, I've made it. It's over. It's done. I'm going to buy my mom a house, all that stuff. And that really kills you if you're not strong enough. It really does. That if you can't find that next 50 or 20 or whatever it is to survive, you will be crawling back. And I'm not saying that that's bad, can be a failure, but not learning it is what hurts. Not learning it. So yeah, when you're talking about kids and you're making $30 and this and that, that's fine. But my thing is that there is a spot for hard work. There is a spot for working for someone else. We're now learn to be your own boss. If you're not a boss, there's something wrong with you and this and that. Nah, because
I don't agree with that either.
Yeah. How does the boss fulfill their dreams? What? So you just got bosses working for you? it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
What the key is that you gain enough experience to surround yourself with people that are inspired by you and your dream, and it becomes their dream. That to me is the secret sauce. And it's hard to find people like that. It's hard to find someone that thinks like you or has that end goal like you. But that's the process. And you're going to have to work with people that don't believe in your dream. You're going to have to work with people that are scheming to steal your guys and do their own hustle. You're going to have to.
Yeah.
But with the experience, it's going to happen. I think we've talked about it earlier, that if you know that this person is going to roll out on you,
Yeah.
So that's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you. So any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Start young.
How young?
As soon as it's legal for you to clock in and clock out.
Well, look, with the paper, with the candies and the papers, you were. So man. Is that too young?
Well, actually is, because it was a little dangerous.
And for me,
dangerous.
Would you say that's young? The passing of the flyers, I was probably the same age, 12 years old.
It was different times.
Yeah.
I think it was different times. But even then, like me personally, it was dangerous. Especially Los Angeles, California, back in the 90s when the streets was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I think about it, I'm like, damn.
How'd you survive?
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, again, start young. Take every experience you can in the workforce, no matter what it is. It could be ice cream shop, Foot Locker, Food Lion, bagging, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just the experience of knowing what's to be, under authority, or being the authority if you become a supervisor or a manager, whatever, because it could happen at a young age.
Yep.
Just learn responsibility, of being, like you said, of being there on time. It just teaches, it will mold you to be a great worker in life.
Yeah, and also
a boss.
That's the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a boss, and just because, and it also, you could work with someone or for someone and still be a boss.
Yeah.
Like there are many opportunities out there that they're like, hey, this is your division, this is your thing. You say yes or no, whatever it is. So there's just so many different levels. There's another thing that I wanted to mention, what you said about your dad versus yourself, the generations.
Yeah.
And they were down to work. The same thing with my mom and my dad, same generation, just down to work, right? But I think that we're down to work as well, but we're also down to have relationships with our kids. And I think that our parents might have missed out on that. Not saying that we're not cool with our parents now, but while they were in the grind, working 3 jobs, how do you know what's going on at school?
Yeah.
How do you know if I'm doing well in math or, whatever it is? So what we're trying to do is basically do that. We're trying to work hard, hustle, but still have enough time for our families, because at the end, your family is where it's at.
Yeah.
Your family. And that's what I want to stress. This isn't a money making podcast. It's more so like a life podcast, that we want to live life to the fullest, live life right, obviously work hard, do what we want. We want to dream, we want to build, we want to connect, we want to do all those things. But your family is top priority. So going back to your dad, I know your dad loves his family, but what you're doing and having meaningful relationships, knowing what's going on inside and out of the house, that's the number one. That's the number one.
Yeah.
Having the time to do that, having the flexibility to do that within whatever work you do. Right?
Yeah, no, that's true.
So that's the biggest thing for me. I love what we're doing. I think that the listeners have to understand that we really care. We really care. I want to come up with topics and discussions that we could pass on our experiences. We also want to hear from you. We have a email dedicated for that. What is it? connect@stonepark.com.
That's right.
Our socials are all StonePark Podcast, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think we're on TikTok as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're into real estate, check us out, StonePark Real Estate.
Right.
Definitely our YouTube. Carlos is killing the videos, killing. You guys don't know, this guy makes all the beats.
We're going viral, man.
Don't say that. Like 100 views. But no, he does all the beats. Show this man some love. Until next time, dream, build,
connect.